Great to have you along for the ride. Thanks a lot for stopping by. Glad to have this man back. He, of course, is Jim Jordan, U.S. Representative, the great state of Ohio. Ohio 4, House Judiciary Chairman, and just won last night. Congratulations on the win.
Well, thank you, Joe. It was a big win for the country. We're gonna, President Trump's gone back to the White House. We got the Senate. We're gonna keep the House. Couldn't have been a better night for Republicans, and frankly, couldn't be a better night for the country.
Jim, I'm watching last night, and what I've been saying weeks ahead, people probably have asked you the same thing. What's your prediction? What's going to happen? What's going to happen? We didn't know what was going to happen, but what I said was, if we find out on election night, it's going to be Trump in a landslide. If we have to wait, then all sorts of issues can pop up. Did you feel the same way going into last night?
Yeah, we were always concerned if it was close, because we all remember, 2020 when it looked like President Trump was winning. We would all kind of get late at night, and then everything changes the next morning. So I was hoping it was going to be, as President Trump said throughout the campaign, too big to rig. And that's exactly what happened. It was overwhelming for him. It brought senators. Bernie Moreno won our state. I mean, beat Sherrod Brown by like 5-6 points. So it was all because of President Trump. And what I really think happened, frankly, Joe, is the American people said, we're tired of being called racist. We're tired of being called deplorable. We're tired of being called garbage. And we're tired of an economy that stinks and an open border. And they said, we're going to send a message loud and clear. And they did across the board. But it would not have happened but for the perseverance and the leadership and the toughness of President Trump.
I know you heard part of my interview with Megyn Kelly just now, and I want to ask you the same sort of questions. How does he possibly get Elon Musk and Dana White and Joe Rogan and Sage Steele and Megyn Kelly and all of these people that are RFK Jr., for God's sakes, his name is Kennedy. How does he gather that group and get them to get into his tent? How does that work?
Because Americans are sick and tired of the attack on the First Amendment, attack on free speech, and this censorship industrial complex, as Schellenberger and Taibbi have called it, two Democrat journalists who, by the way, I think were Trump supporters as well.
Yes.
So they're tired of that. It's amazing, this coalition that President Trump got brought together, but it's because people value their rights and their liberties and the First Amendment. So there was a survey done like 2 weeks ago. Number one issue amongst Americans was, of course, the economy and the inflation, that cruel tax on Americans. But second on the list was protecting the First Amendment, protecting free speech. And so the Americans are just so tired of this new coalition comes together, again, with the leadership of President Trump. But I think it's just a strong pushback. I always say this, Joe. The left has a formula that they follow. The left tells the lie. Big media reports the lie. Big tech amplifies the lie. And then when you tell the truth, they call you names. And then when you tell the truth, they try to censor what you say. Yes. And Americans said enough. And this new coalition comes together and the vote comes in a big, big way like we saw yesterday.
It is U.S. Representative Jim Jordan, Ohio 4. We're heard in his district every night. We appreciate you coming on. Jordan.house.gov, House Judiciary Committee Chair. Jamie Raskin was saber-rattling for months now. In fact, there's a video of him in front of a bunch of law students where he says, we will not seat him. MAGA is going to be very upset if he wins. We will not let him take office because we've got the 14th Amendment, the third section I think he was alluding to, which is the insurrection clause, Jim. He can't do that, right? I mean, now that the House and the Senate look like they're both going to be Republican hands, he can't do anything, can he?
Well, one of the many reasons why it was important we maintain a majority in the House, it looks like that's going to happen. I think we might even actually increase our numbers by 1 or 2 seats. But we're going to have a majority, so no, we don't have to worry about that, thank goodness. But yeah, he was talking about that. And if President Trump would have won and we'd have somehow lost the House, there was a possibility he would try things on January 6th. But now that's not gonna take place.
It is U.S. Representative Jim Jordan. What about the cases against Donald Trump? Do they go away now?
I think so. I think they all should be dropped. I think former Attorney General Bill Barr said as much today. But I think that's just you can't go prosecuting a sitting president of the United States and in a little over 2 months he's going to be the president of the United States. So yeah, I think those cases were ridiculous anyway.
Yes,
they were all falling apart. I mean, from Alvin Bragg to Fonnie Willis to Jack Smith, 2 crazy cases. Judge Cannon down in Florida had said Jack Smith's case down there was ridiculous, that he was appointed in an unconstitutional fashion.
Right.
So those cases were all lawfare ridiculous anyway. But now that President Trump has won, I think they all go away.
Now, you're a guy who's got an incredible brain. You're a guy that I trust in what you believe and what you say. So talk to me about New York. Have you considered that at all? What will Judge Merchan do this month? Can he still sentence President Trump to prison?
I do not think so. Again, I think the smart move, the move that's consistent with our Constitution, is to just dismiss these charges, let them go away, both state and federal, let them go away. The country, as they said yesterday, understood this was not. This was going after your political opponent. This wasn't a legitimate prosecution.
Right.
So I think the country has spoken in how they voted yesterday. So these cases should all disappear.
If you get the House, the Senate, and he wins the popular and electoral college, that's a mandate, is it not?
It sure is. And when we get in office next year, we all got to come together and restore and reauthorize the tax cuts that are put in place, get our economy rolling again, secure the border, and get back to common sense energy policy, and then also continue our constitutional duty of oversight to expose and stop the left and these agencies from being weaponized against we the people. So I think the mandate is clear. Reauthorize the tax cuts, secure the border, get back to common sense energy policy, and then continue our oversight work on protecting Americans from a weaponized federal agencies. Let's focus on that. We do that, we will, in fact, as President Trump has said, make America great again.
House Judiciary Committee Chair, it's Jim Jordan. Jim, in 2016, I think President Trump goes in with the CEO mentality. I'm going to be the CEO of the executive branch, which he should have been. What he didn't realize, there were 4,000 to 6,000 people working in the executive that were trying to undermine him, in my opinion. So he goes in this time with eyes wide open. I'm sure you'll talk to him if you haven't already. When he goes in, takes office on the 20th of January, what does he have to do differently right from the beginning to not have 4 years of wrangling and anonymous people writing op-eds and Jim Acosta from CNN going after him? What does he have to do going in, knowing that as a CEO, you can only do that if you have people working for you that actually believe in what you're doing?
Two things. One, fire everyone you're allowed to fire right away. Then actually fire a few people you're probably not allowed to fire, make them sue you just to send a message that there is a new sheriff in town and things are going to operate the way they need to. And then put in those positions, those key positions, people believe in the same philosophy, same premises, same concepts that we all believe in, and that what this election was about. So that is just the right people leading these agencies is just fundamentally important. Make sure you do that. And then I would start enacting everything right away. Just go, because the left can't attack everything. They're going to attack, They're going to try, but just go as hard as we can, as quick as we can, focusing on the things we were elected to do.
Can he on day one, Jim, reinstate every executive order that worked on the border?
Heck yeah, definitely. Because remember, Joe Biden undid them on day one. He undid the Remain in Mexico. He said, we're no longer going to build the wall. And when you get here, you're going to not be detained. You're going to be released. So yeah, go right back to the policies that worked and issue those executive orders on day one, like Joe Biden did in the opposite direction.
You got 425,000 convicted criminals that we found out about from ICE that are in this country, and we know they're in the country. 14,000 murderers, 15,000 rapists, and assorted others. We obviously know who they are, Jim. Can we round them up and get rid of them immediately? I mean, we'll have to deal with the 10 to 20 million others in some other form and fashion. I get it. But what about the criminals? Why can't they just stay here?
No, President Trump's been clear about that. That when he talks about deporting, you find the people, the bad guys who've done bad things. You find them and say, you are going back to your native country. You get them out. If they got some criminal background, criminal record, those are the ones you go for. Yeah. And then that sends a message to the entire world. Look, no longer there's as I said, a new sheriff in town. The border's no longer open. There will be a wall you will have to get over. And if you're a legitimate asylum seeker, you're still going to have your claim adjudicated while you're waiting in Mexico. You do those things and you get the border back under control like it was 4 years ago in President Trump's first term.
District 4 Republican, great state of Ohio. It's Jim Jordan. Jim, the question that was asked in the campaign trail more of Kamala Harris than anything else was, how are you going to lower prices? We didn't ask that of President Trump much because we saw him lower prices when he was in office. Yeah. What specifically does a leader do now that he's going to take office again in January? Already the stock market's going nuts. Economically, we're looking brighter already today because of the big win. But what can he do? Is there a policy? Do you guys in the Congress have to do it? How do we see our costs come down? What happens?
Yeah, you reauthorize the tax cuts, you reduce the regulatory burden on the job creators, the entrepreneurs, the people who make our economy earn and turn and burn, and then you get to a common sense energy policy, all of the above energy policy. You do those three things. I mean, look, the way the world works, it's pretty basic, right? You want to lead the world militarily, diplomatically, you have to lead economically. You want to lead economically, you got to have readily available energy at affordable cost. and reasonable, not ridiculous regulation so that your economy can flourish. That is how it operates. And the world is a safer and better place when we lead. But you can't do that unless you have those key concepts in place. So President Trump understands it. It's what he did his first term. He's going to do it his second term. And now he's got a Senate and a House who can help him.
It is U.S. Representative Jim Jordan, the House Judiciary Committee chair. You and Jamie Comer have been amazing in uncovering the corruption and uncovering the lawfare by the DOJ. Jim, what can a new president, a new House, and a new Senate, a complete legislature, and the president, what can they do going forward now to either realign the DOJ, get rid of the DOJ? You got a clean house and get rid of the leadership that obviously is focused on getting rid of their political opponents. But many say you can't get rid of the DOJ and start all over. What do you do?
No, you got to have the right people at the top. I mean, take the FBI, for example, Joe. The vast majority of the agents are good people. We have two former agents who work for the House Judiciary Republican Committee, and they're great. They're right out of Central Casting. They got an Irish name and from Cleveland and Pittsburgh. They're great. They're great people. So the agents, by and large, are just good folks doing good work. But the people at the top have to change. So President Trump says we need a new FBI director. We're obviously going to get a new attorney general, and the top people that serve in the Justice, who run the Civil Rights Division, who run these key divisions in the Justice Department. He needs his key people there running these agencies so that the agencies work for we the people, not targeting we the people.
Well, how specific can the leadership be? Can he appoint somebody to the FBI head and say, you can no longer go and take down license plates at a school board meeting, and yes, you have to go after pedophiles again? Because we know from Steve Friend, I think that you've gotten his testimony as well. Steve Friend, a former FBI agent, said he was on the beat to stop pedophiles from preying on our children. He was taken off of that and told to go take down license plates at school board meetings. Can that be stopped immediately?
Yes, you know, I mean, like, look, you got to put someone in charge that says, we're not going to go investigate moms and dads going to school board meetings. We're not going to be putting together memorandums like they did at the Richmond field office, which said that if you're a pro-life Catholic, you're somehow an extremist. We're not going to be knocking on people's doors at 6 a.m, one quick knock, run in and arrest them and doing a warrant at pre-dawn raids. We're not going to do that kind of stuff. For people who are just regular Americans who maybe were praying at an abortion clinic or something like they did outside of Philadelphia. So you just change the culture by having the right leadership in place, and of course that starts with the head of the executive branch, President Trump.
A huge issue, and Jim Jordan, by the way, the House Judiciary Committee chair. Jim, thank you for making time today. A huge issue in this, of course, the top issue is either the border or the economy. Those two, I think, were flip-flopping in people's minds. I think abortion mattered to more people on the left. I get that. That's why they use that so much. But a big issue is the money we've sent to Ukraine. A big issue is what's going on in the Middle East. Trump says he's going to bring, and I believe him if he can, he's going to bring peace to both places, possibly before he even takes office. You saw Zelensky last night, big long X post about how great Trump is and let's get some peace. Jim, how quickly can that happen where they stop killing each other in the Middle East and in Ukraine?
Well, I like you think President Trump, he said he can do it. I think he can do it because we saw what he did before.
Yes.
I mean, right. Everyone told him, don't put the embassy in Jerusalem, even though he promised the American people. He said, I'm going to do it because I told the American people I was going to do it. He did that. I would argue that laid the foundation for the Abraham Accords, which were amazing. And you had actually, as you said, you didn't have Hamas, Hezbollah, and Iran attacking our best friend Israel when President Trump was in the White House. And obviously you didn't have Russia going into Ukraine when President Trump was in the White House. So he's proven that he can do it. I think he'll do it again here in, soon, because it's only a couple months until he's sworn in and he's our next president.
Well, Iran was under control under Trump for 4 years because of your leadership, his leadership, and others like you. That I hope will happen again very soon. But Jim, I got to ask you something I haven't asked you yet. Have you ever seen Iran support or endorse a candidate like we just saw? That was the craziest thing. And I think Kamala Harris picks Tim Walz as her vice presidential nominee because she thought she would bring in the Arab or Muslim vote, and they all endorsed Donald Trump. Have you ever seen something so strange that Putin and Iran agreed they both wanted Kamala Harris? That tells you a lot, doesn't it?
Well, yeah, it was from Iran. It was more than that. Remember, they've said they want to assassinate President Trump.
Yes.
They actually got material from his campaign. They hacked and got information. Somehow that information winds up in the in the Biden-Harris campaign, and some of that information wound up in the press. So, I mean, that's unheard of. And of course, the media didn't want to talk about that. But yeah, that's how bad it was with what Iran's been up to. So again, I think everyone who really thinks about it and understands foreign policy appreciates the strength that President Trump projects and that he's going to be back in the Oval Office.
Jim, thanks for finding time. It's Jim Jordan, House Judiciary Committee Chair. One last question, maybe a minute on this. We'll let you go. Thank you for taking the time. Energy policy was amazing under Trump. Keystone XL pipeline. We're going to do research and development in Anwar. We're going to go and get shale, get all the oil and all the natural gas we can. Can he, with the swipe of a pen, make the Keystone XL pipeline happen again? Get that friendly oil from Canada, take it down to the Gulf of Mexico and start refining? Do we see energy policy that lowers prices like crazy and we become energy independent again?
Yeah, it'll happen under President Trump. And the other thing is, of course, access to federal lands to get that energy will be much more reasonable, happen much more under President Trump. Remember, under President Trump in legislation, he had also opened up Anwar up in Alaska. So all those are policies that make sense, that are common sense, that are good for the all of the above energy policy. And to get to what President Trump says, not just energy independent, but energy dominant, as you said, that's where we want to go. President Trump understands it, and he will move in that direction because he knows that readily available energy at affordable cost is what is sort of the foundation of his strong economy. And then, of course, the strong economy is what allows America to lead on the world stage because we're the biggest economy, and that, with this amazing military, it's why it all works together. But you got to have the energy component.
It's a great day in America, and you played a big role in this. Thank you for all you do for our country and for Ohio specifically. It's Jim Jordan, House Judiciary Committee Chair. Thanks for making time, Jim. Appreciate you.
You bet. Thanks, Joe. Take care.
All right, you too. We're back after this. Stay right here.